Greetings everyone, and welcome back to bannersonthewall.wordpress.com for this Running with the Herd from the game between the Basingstoke Bison and the Milton Keynes Lightning from the National Ice Hockey League's National Division League and Cup. Final score, Basingstoke Bison 1, Milton Keynes Lightning 8. Goals for the Milton Keynes Lightning in the first period from Rio Grinnell Park and David Sarkanis, in the second period from Sam Talbot, Jack Hopkins and Sean Norris, and then in the third period from James Griffin, Bobby Chamberlain, and a second of the night for Sean Norris. The lone goal for the Bison coming in the second period from Zach Milton. I have long been a proponent on this site of the fact that hockey doesn't exist in a vacuum. There is context. Context is king no matter what you do, and I will confess that I have had a real struggle since the end of this game to try and wrap my head around where things were. That Friday then of course sits within the context of Saturday and what happened there for the Basingstoke Bison as well, and we'll kind of walk through everything, and we kind of need to sort of take this all together. But first we start with Friday evening. What a gong show. There is no good way to paint this. There is no good way to look at this. This game was bad. This might be one of the worst games I have seen the Basingstoke Bison play since the final season of the Elite League, and that's when the Bison lost every game after Christmas until the season finished. This was bad. Liam Morris banned for 10 games for his hit to the head of Sheffield's Tom Palmer. Adam Jones now still seemingly in the injury wilderness. The departures from the roster of Ryan Sutton and Adrian Duznik leaving the team short. Josh Kelly still injured, meaning the Bison ran with 4D. However, they've played with 4D before, won. They've played with guys having departed from the roster and won. They've added Ollie Hemmings-Mayer into the lineup this weekend. Roman Cathcart absent, injured potentially. There's been no confirmation from the club either way, but yeah, this wasn't good. The issue, I think, for the Bison here was that they just looked lost. There seemed to be nothing there. A team that had already been pretty close to the bottom had actually genuinely hit rock bottom. There was no further they could fall. They didn't just get outclassed, they got outthought, outbattled, outplayed, out everything on their own ice in front of their own fans. Jordan Lauday was given the start in this one, and as kind of with the issue last year when Lauday was brought in to kind of solve some of the Herd's issues, netminding wasn't the problem here. Lauday gave his best. He had nothing in front of him to work with. Alex Messon came in for relief later on in the game, and he conceded goals, and there was nothing he could do about those either. The issue was what was in front of him. A team tired, still rebounding from illness potentially, low on form, low on confidence, low on morale, low. We do have to talk about Milton Keynes in this though, because Milton Keynes are good. Now, I think having seen all of the teams now, whether on tape or with my own eyes, bar one, High Hull, I think Leeds are better than MK. Leeds didn't score as many goals against Basingstoke. Leeds have proven themselves now to be fallible. They are not the perfect team. They have dropped points this year, but I think Leeds just edged this. It's easy though for an MK fan to decry this. We've absolutely slapped you about in your own barn. You're just angry that we beat you, and I'm more disappointed with how the Bison played than getting beaten by Milton Keynes. The Bison had lost 11 in a row. You're nothing special. We lose every week. However, I can see why Leeds are top, and I can see why MK aren't, if you see what I mean. This, however, does not detract from the fact that there were some very very pretty goals scored in this. The addition of Jack Hopkins to the MK lineup, particularly with the absence of Liam Stewart currently, is a fantastic addition, and that line of Hopkins, Talbot and Norris is just youth and quality personified. The fact all three of them are not currently playing in the Elite League is a travesty, in the same way that Jordan Headley, not overly tested in this game, he should be playing in the Elite League and not playing here. David Sarkanis, arguably a bit quiet, but only probably just due to the sheer number of contributions that we got out of Talbot, Norris and Hopkins, but clearly very, very good. Sarkanis' goal in the first period in particular was very good, where he was left on his own. Great decision there, defending. Basically, it was a choice of shot from Sarkanis versus glove of Lauday, and Sarkanis clearly faster. MK are good. They're really good. And actually, credit to MK. They had 3 games in 3 nights this weekend, won all 3. They have kept Leeds looking over their shoulder, as have Peterborough. That top 3 at the moment are there because of quality and form. However, I still feel that there is more quality in that Leeds roster, and I think that they've just got that little bit of something extra. Now, can MK still do this? Yes, they can, because we have seen now that Leeds are not perfect. Leeds also haven't lost in regulation all season. It's nearly Advent. So, yeah, there's some things to be worked out there. But there's a few guys on that roster who can still come back in for MK. Malik Martelli, not in the roster for this game either. Stewart, of course, who has been an absolute goal-scoring machine for them too. What I think was interesting in this one is MK just did what they needed to do here. They were 2-0 up and coasting, and I said during the end of first period thing that we've been doing on Twitter Spaces with the Bison Twitter, that MK needed to avoid complacency. They couldn't let themselves get sucked into the trap of thinking they could just hold the Bison at bay, like a big brother holding a younger sibling away, as they swing wildly trying to get back. And they got stung by the Bison, because the Bison picked up momentum, picked up some energy, and they scored on them. 2-1. Game tightly poised. And teams will respond one of 2 ways generally to that. They will either let things back in, or they say, no, not today. And to the credit of the MK Lightning, the answer was no, not today, and they stamped on the Bison's throat, and they made them suffer, as they should have done. The fact it's not even the Bison's biggest defeat of the season so far is mildly disappointing, albeit losing 11-2 with 7 regular players, and the lineup was a bit of a different kettle of fish. I think we'd all agree. I left that game and I drove home, and I drove 40 minutes each way for the most part of the Basingstoke games, which was elongated by a road closure. And I was driving back in the dark, a way that I don't usually go. I know where I'm going, but it's not somewhere I would choose to drive in the pitch black of 11 o'clock at night. And all I could think of was just, what happens tomorrow? There has to be something. We can't get any worse than this. And all you have to do to see the absolute roller coaster of emotions I went on is to look at the Banners on the Wall Twitter account. 4-0 down on Saturday evening at the end of the first period. 12 goals conceded in 4 periods of hockey. And then, because this club will be the death of me, what did they do? Hockey is the greatest sport in the world. It's also very cruel, because they made me hope again. The person who writes to me, and the objective hat I put on when I have to do these bits and pieces, I can see all sides of the equation, or at least I try to see all sides of the equation. I have my blind spots like we all do, but the fan in me was just so confused as to what to do with the information coming out of Bristol. 4-0 down to 4-3. 4-3 to 4-4. And then Marcel Balach scoring a natural hat-trick in the 3rd period. And the Bison won. It's over. The losing streak is snapped. It's done. We're back at 1. Now, the problem here is that it's really easy to lean into the good, to ignore the bad and just be happy with the shiny ball. And actually, you know what? After such a bad losing run and some games where the Bison were genuinely not very good, like Friday, or games where they busted their backside and just came up short, like against Sheffield, both times home and away, like Leeds home and away. They came really close and just couldn't do it. And you get a win, a big win, a huge comeback win in context, particularly where at the moment the Bison and the Pitbulls are fighting for that 8th spot. That last player spot, which actually, given the stature of this club, we should be well above fighting for. But that's where we are. It's Basingstoke and Bristol in 8th place right now. And that is our fight at the moment. It's a huge win. Particularly after the Pitbulls decimated the Bison 5-1 a couple of weeks back. To win this game in such a fashion in Bristol is massive for the Bison right now, because that could be something that lifts them out of their slump. This could be the turning point, the literal turning point of their year. Or it's a mask of all the errors and issues that are there. The lack of D, the lack of good team defense, the lack of ability to score goals consistently. What the Herd do from here, what Ashley Tate does from here, is they have to find a way. Now, and this is not to denigrate Hull in any way, shape or form, because I have a lot of respect for the Hull Seahawks. I wouldn't have bothered going to all the trouble to kind of do all the reporting I did about them coming into existence if I didn't have respect for what they are trying to do. But this might be the right team at the right time. Because as we saw with the Bison, 1 loss became 2, became 4, became 6, became 8, became 10, became 11. 1 win can become 2, can become 3. And this isn't that the Bison are going to do some ridiculous Roy of the Rovers-esque run to the title. I don't think that's possible. None of us do. But momentum. Momentum is so key in the sport of hockey that just anything can happen, because maybe come March, when the league title when the trophy that's there has ribbons put on it and given to its winners, they are probably not going to be white, red and black. But there's a trophy in April to aim for. There's still something left. BannersOnTheWall.wordpress.com is your number one source for everything related to the Basingstoke Bison for the better part of 11, nearly 12 years, as well as trying to do all our coverage of the NIHL, whether it's on Twitter at BannersOTW, whether it's Wednesday nights on the BOTW What's Current stream, now on YouTube, although check our Twitter, of course, for the link to that. Our Hockey Stories series, of course, keeps rolling along, whether it's about the IHA not properly representing the process they've gone through to get their new game management software, whether it's about former Governor Generals of Canada and them playing hockey in the early part of the 20th, late 19th century, whether it's about behind the Iron Curtain up to the very present day with how some of our officials got into the sport. We try to cover a little bit of everything here. BannersOnTheWall.wordpress.com, Facebook.com/BannersOnTheWall, Twitter, you can find us at BannersOTW. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. And for those of you coming along on Saturday night, if you're coming to the game between the Bison and the Hull Seahawks, the first ever in Basingstoke between the two teams, do come over and say hello, of course. Be happy. If you can't be happy, be safe. As my friend Scotty Walls would say, take care of yourself and somebody else. For BannersOnTheWall.wordpress.com, this is Anthony Russell saying stay safe. And so long till next time. Although hopefully the next time, there isn't a next time, for an 8-1 home defeat. Ugh.